Kyla, I'm the Power Prophet coming at you live today. And I'm not sure how this music sounds. I'm going to turn it down some. But I'm glad to be here, you know, and I just got to say, in moving into the space of walking out what I believe, what I know is my walk currently, my purpose. It's like finding the right shoe fit, right? You heard something. You have to download a knowing, and let me just make sure I'm showing up on, yep. And you have a knowing, and this is where people get a little weird, because you have a knowing, and you think you have to know, like you have to have a everything has to be clear. And then without the clarity, people feel hesitant to walk out the knowing. When it's all like, the knowing is accompanied with trying on, I'm going to call it shoes. When you go to the store, I mean, you know your right size, right? You know what it is, your size, okay? That's the knowing, right? But then you have to go through different types of shoe types, containers, right? Or shoe types to get the right one that fits. And again, this is where people fall off. Because if the first one doesn't work, shoe work, that doesn't fit, they have their expectation, forget it. I'm not going to buy any shoes. They don't got what I want, or what I know I want to get. And then there's no other exploration, right? And so I'm saying all this to sort of bring the relevance back to what I want to say, right? Because I keep sensing that I want to do different things with this transformational resonance, mentoring walk, and with this new founder opportunity that I'm being blessed to step in, right? Whether it's blessed to step in, whether it is working according to what I could configure in my head how it's supposed to work, or the way in which it's just supposed to work, aligned with the universal energies and the flow as to how the unfolding begins and takes place over time. And so I'm saying this because, yes, I want to do live streams. And right now I'm kind of haphazard with it. I'm trying to find that right shoe that fits. There's so many aspects of all of us. So many aspects of me that I've been able to effectively pull together. Check out my new website, www.power-prophet.com. Check it out, because I pulled together, you know, I've made real the marriage between my intuitive psychic counseling and my transformational resonance work. I pulled them together because they are so intricately attached, right? They are synergized. I couldn't throw off the advising part, right? Because I do that currently. And as a matter of fact, let me go offline so I don't get a phone call. Excuse me. And so, offline from my readings. With my transformational resonance work, And so I pulled them together. There's one aspect I have yet to pull in. Like I had a download the other day, right? And it sort of all fell into shape. I just now have to walk it out. So the live streams, I wanted to do morning affirmations, right? I was trying to rejuvenate something I did at a different time in my life, and the morning affirmations just doesn't feel natural. Doesn't feel like that fits for me right now. So I'm experimenting with the check-in, card pull, and let's talk. Okay? I'm not even going to say what days and times I'm going to do this, because I don't know yet, but I have to feel the synergetic fit, the energetic fit, the resonance, which I like to call radical resonance, you know. But, and so this brings me to several things that, and I'm going to do a card pull, but I've been thinking a lot about intuition, because a lot of people, and maybe, look, check-in, card pull, let's talk, they could come in any order. This is my time to communicate with whomever wants to hear what I have to say, what I have to say. And look, the other component that that gets a little strange when you're walking through your spiritual awakening, which has layers upon layers upon layers. And you know, in these chit chats, I can talk about the spiritual awakening that I had. The thing about it is that I am spiritually awakened, but I'm still living in this 3D illusion and have to negotiate it. I cannot extract myself from this. I am in it. I'm here for a reason, several reasons, right? And so I can't not talk about what's happening. And so that's another part of the thing, is like, how does all this fit in? And so, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening now in our social political climate. Because, you know, we talk about it and give it a metaphysical sort of interpretive, like, spin at the end. And it's not really spin, because that's who I am. But yeah, intuition. So look, intuition is very difficult for a lot of people. And a lot of people can't hear it. That's what they say. They don't know it. They don't trust it. And it's so interesting that we have been divorced from our own capacity to connect with a knowing, to connect with information that is so relevant to our individual walk. Authentically relevant. I don't know why I'm doing this, but the download is authentically relevant to our particular journey in this world. And we have been separated, many people, from this knowing, from intuition, the inner voice. And then again, if they hear it, like I said, they just don't trust it. And, you know, and we fall a lot on, you know, what the Bible says, you know, God will fix it. Listening to other people, going to seminars, trying to do what it is that they do. Of course, they say, make it your own. But it's like we're reaching out to find ways to imagine ourselves and do ourselves in the spaces in which we exist. And that's part of the idea of taking up, you know, this social knowing, which is manufactured, constructed, created, right? And I have videos on that. So we take up what's external to help us figure out the things that we need to do when that external stuff is sort of a one-size-fits-all, so to speak, right? They talk about don't buy processed foods because they're not good for you. They don't digest well. They don't feed you good food inside. Your cells don't have the nutrients, the information from the nutrients they need to do effective functioning. So it's like we take on processed food because that stuff out there is processed, right? It is processed. I feel like I have a lag here. I'm not sure why. But anyway, we take on a processed way. It's already been processed by somebody else's mentality, mind. And then we're like, oh, I want that. But that's not yours. Like, how often do we sit in ourselves to hear? And yes, some of those operative frameworks that are used by others to do things similar to what it is you're doing or want to do, where you want to go, they're useful. But I have a video out that talks about, you can't live in somebody else's reality because that stuff is uniquely for them. And so the intuition is our connection to the ways of being that are important for us, the actions, the thoughts, the journeys. And so intuition. And so I'm just going to give me as an example, and I was thinking about easy ways to talk about, to tap into intuition. And some of the things that resonated for me this morning when I was thinking about, gosh, I tend to offer up low stakes intuition testing, like low stakes intuition testing. Perhaps looking at the TV and you have a knowing that a certain commercial's coming on. Oh, that commercial's coming on. It doesn't come on, then you weren't really tapped into the knowing. If it does come on, then it's confirmation that, of course, people will poo-poo away. Oh, that's just coincidence. No, baby. There is no coincidences in this universe. Multiverse. None. And so that's like practice. So you don't do things that's going to happen like, yeah, my son's going to come home today. Of course. Unless something horrible, God forbid. Of course. That's not testing your intuition. That's just what happens. So you find things that actually test. So what's coming on TV, or perhaps what someone in your household is going to wear, what color they're going to wear. Oh, Joan's going to wear black today. I just know it. Not because you know this. Of course, anything that you already know doesn't work. But because you clearly don't know how they dress, what they would wear today. So these are low stakes sort of intuition testing. But I'm going to give you some other ways that I have come to know my intuition. Okay, the first way that I have come to know my intuition very clearly and real is that I feel it in my tummy. Okay? I used to think it was anxiety. The butterflies. I thought that was anxiety. Oh, I needed pills. I needed something to get rid of it. Once I divested myself of a system that was separating me from my knowing, I began to understand those butterflies came strongly when I was in a setting that was not for me. In a setting that was not for me. So they start. And if I stayed in that setting, they would magnify over time. It was a warning, a signal. This space is not for you. So what I call this is a feeling of peace or no peace. So the butterflies that I thought was anxiety was no peace. I did not feel peace. And so that's how I knew that my intuition was communicating with me through my nervous system. The fight or flight. And so for so long, I dismissed it because, like so many people, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I make it? Why can't I feel right? Why isn't this working? Why am I so tight? Fight or flight. You got a personal problem. Everybody will tell you that's you. That's you, buddy. I did that. I made it. But I have this feeling in my stomach. Oh, go take some medication. Go see a psychologist. They'll fix you up. And they do help. But they don't even know what that feeling is for you. So for me, it was peace or no peace. And it comes right in my gut. And let me tell you, your gut has more nerve endings than your brain. Your gut, it leads you because it tells you peace or no peace. For me, it was in my gut. It was mistaken for anxiety, which I tried to fix, but it never went. I stayed in that place, and finally, because I didn't listen to my gut, I disintegrated. Now, I'm not going to get into all that. You're going to read my book, I Retire Hypocrisy and the Power of Release. It'll tell you everything you need to know about what I was in and how I disintegrated, right? And so that's one way. Somatic response, okay? And it's being attuned to that. And it's also not dismissing it. I did. I personalized it like something was wrong with me because I didn't feel the fit. And so that's one way in your body, okay? Another way that I have discerned that intuition works. And I'm just going to, again, I started off sort of with the story about trying on different shoes to see what fits. Many people will try the first shoe on. They know their size. They'll try the first shoe on. And because they have expectations about how that shoe is supposed to be and fit, they drop it to failure. And they leave. Okay? So I said, morning affirmations, that's not working. My live streams are not clicking. I can't figure out the times. I don't know, And I do know. And that's what I'm going to tell you about intuition. So, quite a while ago, I understood expectations, having expectations as a point of contention and as a point of mutual discussion between you and others. devastation. Contention, mutual devastation, and as a point of personal, I'm not going to say that. So having expectations breeds contention, mutual destruction, and it also sets us up in many ways to feel like we're the failure. So quite a while ago, I worked through this idea of having an expectation because that, to me, was a real problem for me and other people as I've observed, studied, worked with. Having an expectation, this is supposed to be like that. That shoe is supposed to fit. Everybody says it's so comfortable. Didn't work for me. Right? And so, as I'm navigating this land as a metaphysical entrepreneur, a metaphysical founder in my business, this is all new to me. Having this business. Like, I've been an advisor, I've worked with people in resonance, healing, but I've never had a business in this way. I've had other entrepreneurial endeavors, and they didn't work because I had an expectation of what was supposed to happen. And the minute that expectation got cracked or wasn't an effective enough container for whatever I was attempting to walk out, I quit. I quit every time. Because of having an expectation. And so upon, doing the steps of, the power of release, the recognition about expectations and how having them have played a major role in my inability to stick to things, right? And to believe something was possible. I forgot where I was going with that. I'm on my left side, right? In my brain. I need to get on the right side. Right side. But I'm trying to bring them together here. So I let go of all that, expectations. Because having them only proved to disappoint me every time. And so over time and through my spiritual awakening, I sort of, I let them go. Actually, it's been quite a relief not to have these expectations because nothing disappoints me anymore. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. I mean, yes, some things I see as being a low vibration, having a low frequency, and either needs to be adjusted or I need to remove myself or something. You know what I mean? But I'm not putting up expectations. And so back to the shoe. This is another way to know. So I don't know if people have to release their expectations because so many people, most people, rely on them so heavily. Their whole life's about what they expect from somebody, something, some environment. When it doesn't happen, their whole life falls apart. But in this new process of building this entrepreneurial endeavor around the practice of metaphysics and helping people synergize their resonance to the divine mind, divine intelligence, right? Listen, I could have quit a long time ago. Within the first I say 3 weeks, I could have quit. If I had an expectation about what was going to happen, I'm flooding social media, I'm doing all this stuff, nobody's looking at me, nobody's caring about me, nobody's following, nobody's looking. Okay. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The thing about it is, my intuition is active because I don't quit. Experimenting. Because I don't have an expectation about how I'm supposed to be in this entrepreneurial endeavor. I know that I have giftings for which I have been called into this space to contribute. But like morning affirmations, I was so excited to get it started again. It was so wonderful back then. I tried it. I sat in it. I wasn't enthused about it. I wasn't enthused about it. Does that mean I got to make it work? Because it worked before? It will work back then. That's my intuition guiding me into the space and place that is uniquely my own. So if I would have quit based on some of the universal expectations about being on social media, starting this business, and that everybody can have all these followers, these events, and people. I mean, look, I don't care. That wasn't always the case. But my intuition is guiding me into all that's right for me in my authentic walk. And so I don't beat up on myself because I don't want to do morning affirmations when I thought that that was something I should do. I listened, I thought, but I really didn't. I just wanted to rehash it. I just wanted to rejuvenate it. And so I just wasn't feeling it. My intuition. I did not force feed morning affirmations. It's just an energy that I engaged and decided it wasn't fit for the way in which I am vibrating in this day and time. And that has happened quite often in this process. I do something trying to see if it'll work, how it feels. And my intuition by my response. My mental, how it feels in here. My mom always told me, follow your heart. I mean, if she was on something, I think follow your gut. But how it feels. And so that's intuition guiding you. It's something, it's just like, oh. But you keep forcing it. You're not listening to your intuition because your body is responding. Your energy is responding. If your energy is not up and aligned and vibrating high, then you can almost guarantee that you need to modify your approach, right? And so that's intuition and a knowing, functioning that many times we will cast away, especially in the workplace, in our families and things like that, because everything else is, we don't have space to feel these things. We don't give ourselves space to feel these things. We're just on automatic. We just keep going. No. And granted, I am 59. Maybe I've just gotten to that 59 space. And yes, I have to wrap my hands around the 59 because I look damn good. Gotcha. But listen. So that's another one. Your energy reaction to something that you're in. Now, granted, you might be excited. Granted, you might be excited when you start it, and then you do it, and there's a low time. Don't stop doing it because there's a low time, like maybe your energy, I mean, it becomes work, right? I mean, I felt that. Like, damn, this is a lot of work. But I'm saying to myself, if I gave 25 years to academia, working almost 90 hours a week, I sure as hell can apply all that energy to what I'm doing now. And that was for somebody else's benefit. Which seemed like it was benefiting me. I mean, it did. But it was for ultimately for somebody else's benefit. Okay? But, if you have a downtime where you're just not motivated and you just don't know. Okay, so let me back up. So, if there's not an energy pop, like you do it a couple times, even the first time you maybe, second time you may be trying to get revved up, but it's just not happening. All right, it's okay to step back and not do it. Give yourself some time. But that is your energy responding in a way as your intuition, giving you information that this way of doing things may not necessarily work for you. Okay? So we got gut. We've got the energy. And again, when you don't have that energetic response or that resonance with the thing you're doing, really the first time or the second time, maybe the third time, look, for me, 3 is my number. I'm done. I may have did more. No, I did 3 affirmations. I give it 3 times. Okay, so we got the gut. We've got like an energy response. I'm trying to think. There's so many ways to know intuition, but some of them are a little bit more advanced. First of all, you need to be quiet and get in tune with yourself, because it's going to be hard for you to discern anything if you don't know your body and who you are. That's key. So people can talk about intuition all they want, but if they're not sitting in a space of peace or semi-peace, or at least finding peace through some quiet, meditative, whether it be deep or not, meditative time, you're not going to know how your body is responding. Another way to know intuition is functioning. Is if you keep being late to something. I'm not talking about people who just are chronic laters. They never get anywhere on time. But for somebody who is punctual to begin to not come in on time, and they're not ill, they're not taking care of other responsibilities they need to manage, but they just cannot get up to get to work on time, or they're up and they just seem to be behind the clock, that's your intuition telling you something about the place you're supposed to go. Because if you're always showing up late, that's saying something. And I cannot tell you what it's saying specifically. It could be saying, this place ain't for you. Ask for something different. Stop doing whatever you're doing at night. Something else. But that's a sign. That's your intuition working through your actions and your body. You're always late and you're always on time. Okay? So to begin to do something that is impacting something else, and you're not doing it on purpose, and there's no other rationale for that, that could very well be your intuition telling you something about something. So repeated patterns that just jump up with no rhyme or reason. Exhaustion is definitely, when you just exhausted, you can't do nothing, you ain't got no more, that is definitely your intuition, like it's done. It's like I've given you all the signs and you just keep doing the same thing the same way. The exhaustion is screaming. Your intuition is screaming through the tiredness, the body, the nervous system. Something needs to shift. That's intuitive. You can't really figure out what any of these things mean if you don't notice them and if you're not getting quiet to hear. So those are some very simple ways. Your gut, your energetic response, patterns that jump up out of nowhere that you are engaging in for no reason, and a body shutdown. That's your intuition, like at the end of its line. It's the, I told you everything. I told you this place. Them, that person. And there are other stuff, but I'm just going to stick with that. Intuition, your gut, nervous system, the energetic response to doing something, patterns that just repeated behaviors that are just nowhere in the realm of you or anything that you would do, particularly when there's no reason for it. Intuition. And exhaustion. Intuition. And also insomnia. Unless you have some sort of disorder, is a sure sign that your intuition is trying to tell you something. So instead of sitting up all night rehashing the BS, this ain't gonna happen, that ain't gonna happen, I ain't shit, they ain't shit. Try to not focus on those thoughts and go to someplace else. And that's meditation instruction 101. I'm not gonna do that today. But yeah, that's just a little insight into intuition, okay? I love intuition. Because intuition is how I do my do. In regards to my clairsenses, the clairvoyant senses, well, the clairsenses, clairvoyance, clairsentient, all these things. The intuition go hand in hand. But then in that spiritual awakening modality, and also I have to say melanin allows me access to information and downloads. Because that's just what it does. We all have neuromelanin, that helps. The pineal gland makes melanin. We got it. Open that third eye. And that's a whole nother level of meditation. I'll get in one day. Tell you my story when I was at the Self-Realization Fellowship, when I was going there and I lived in New York City. My first forays into the practice of meditation. Anyway, so yeah. That's a little bit on intuition. So I don't know if I finished my thought on what this is called. Check-in, carpool, let's talk, right? So it could be any order. Look, I don't like to be confined. Now that I'm out in a new way, I do not like to be, I didn't like it past, although I did it to myself. I certainly don't like to be confined now to a particular way. And I don't really like people to have the expectations. Oh, Dr. Botts, she's going to do this. Yes, I will be. I am being in the ways that I'm supposed to be. You can count on that. And once I sit in something that is resonant, then that's what it will be. But until that time, you will see the experimentation tactics. Oh, I got one more. I forgot intuition. Okay, so in this founder walk, this entrepreneurial endeavor, you know, I started. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just started because am I going to sit around when I'm getting ready to transition back into this infinite universe? No. I can say I'm not scared of death. I'm not scared of death because we don't die. There's not fear. It's kind of, look, I'm not even going to get into my perceptions of that because they're pretty interesting. And I'll talk about that one day. But another space of knowing, okay? Now, I've been doing this stuff, putting up content, trying this, trying that, doing this, doing that thing, and that's me. And yes, there is a pull to the low frequency. If you have those expectations, things are not working. And so, yes, I go into that. And then I have to go back to my affirmations and know that the universe is abundant and in synergy with the divine intelligence. All will work according to a divine plan. So I have to check myself. Because yes, I can sit in it. I can. But for a split second, and then I'm out of it. So over the course of this time that I've been doing this, which isn't long, there's been these little dips and dives where the phantom limb of ego, the ego phantom limb, it's in my Power of Release book, which is now on ebook. It wants to exercise itself to show me what's not working and how I'm not. But get out of here. No, get out of here. That's the left side. Get out. But you don't have anything happening, right? And you could say, is this working? You know, like what? Like, you know, you just keep doing it. So when there's nothing letting me know that this energy is vibrating on a frequency that is tapping into what I know, right? So when I don't know, I have no idea. I don't stop. When I get questioned, who am I? What am I talking about? I've been there, done that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anybody gonna listen to me? Look, I had those moments. Like split seconds though. I fixed that right up with reframing that. But when you feel like that, after you've checked some of the other intuition signals, you just keep going. If you know you've been called to do it, and you're not feeling anything, you don't know if you're doing right, you don't stop. You just keep going. And this is when the other piece of intuition comes in. There are moments where, I'm not even gonna say intuition, there's a download that sort of synergizes with your intuition, and you feel a sense of peace, joy, happiness. Like you feel high, and you're not high. That's a signal. That's an affirmation that you're on the right track. When it goes, oh, I don't know, I don't feel anything. It's not going to stay, but you will get reminders. You will get a signal that you are on the right track. And that's what happens to folks. But they can't even ascertain this feeling, this elevation feeling, because folks are so overwhelmed with stuff. But let me tell you, when you get those downloads of that peace and that happiness along the way, particularly when you are concentrating your efforts in an endeavor, that is an affirmation that you are on the right track. And you'll get these downloads that interact with your intuition because you're supposed to keep going. All right? I know I got a little passionate in that because I am passionate. You know? Very passionate. That's probably why I didn't fit in academia. Because I is the isness. Look. Intuition's hard. If you're not clicking in, not trusting it. But your intuition is always there. Everybody has that inner knowing. The thing is how do you tune into it? How do you remove all the noise to sense it? And then once you begin to sensing it, you don't need to remove all the noise because you'll know exactly how it operates for you. Takes time. Takes time. Anyway, look, I went off. I didn't go off on a tangent. This is called Check-In Pool Card. Let's talk. So clearly this Thursday, my intuition is sitting on intuition. And no, I'm going to tell you, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's just how life is. You put your best foot forward. You don't expect some outcome. That's also a setup for failure. So let me just go back to the idea of having expectations. I talk about it breeds contention. We go into relationships. We have an expectation over how a certain person's supposed to act, a certain gender or whatever. And we hold that. Like I talk to so many clients who are like, Chris hasn't called me. Well, they don't talk like that. I'm not teasing him. So-and-so hasn't called me. I'm wondering if they're still interested. So as I'm pulling the energy, spirit guides, other sources of information into the cards, I just ask in a very, compassionate, empathetic way, why don't you call them and see? Oh, no, I could never do that. No, I can't call. He's supposed to call me. Contention. Who came up with that stupid expectation? If we're adulting, then we're adults. And that's where that sovereignty over self comes in. And the reason why people don't want to call is because they're scared of getting their feelings hurt. So that's something right there. If you have fear or worry about reaching out to somebody to ask them where they're at, what they're doing, if they still want to talk, then you should not be in that relationship. Because a peace, a feeling of peace, which you may not feel, but the bottom line is you would not be worried to do that. Now, granted, we come with a whole bunch of junk in addition to those expectations. but free of that junk that is creating a sense of ourselves as being less worthy, you should be able to call somebody on the phone and ask a simple question. Or you answer it for yourself. You don't have to question. You don't. They ain't called you in a long time. They left you wondering with nothing. And this is a new thing. That's not intuition, that's a warning sign. That is not an energetic fit. That's contention. And then mutual destruction is when everybody's having an expectation about how everybody's supposed to act with no grace. It's going down. Especially if expectations they just don't fit. Maybe they're old. I don't know. They just don't work, or they're not relevant. Everybody's going down. Mutual destruction. And then you have the personal degradation by setting yourself up all the time, expectations, and then never being able to have them, or never seeing them through. I don't know, them never coming true. And then you'd be in the question, I must suck. Expectations, contention, mutual destruction, self-degradation. Oh my gosh. Look. So look, I pulled out my Symbolon cards today. I haven't used these in a couple of years. I don't know if y'all know Symbolon. Symbolon are cards that are just filled with Catholic imagery. And while I am not a supporter of any religion, this spiritual iconography works for me. So you don't have to be in it, and you don't have to quit it. You take from it what works for you, and you keep it. That's sort of like me speaking in tongues, you know? When I was growing up, I was told, that's from the devil. And that's such a freaking BS line. Speaking in tongues the tongues is our mother tongue. That's sort of like when they pulled the slaves over here and told them they can't speak their language so they could be oppressed and dependent by and on the system. So, speaking in tongues is the mother tongue. And when people say it's demonic, it's like separating you from your direct link with the divine intelligence. So that mother tongue is your tongue to speak your isness to the divine intelligence. Just the way you need to speak it to synergize and connect and be in and sit in. Okay, so I was blessed to be at a service where this Indian minister came in. I'm not talking about Native American, I'm talking about Indian, from India. He came in and did a sermon. He talked about speaking in tongues. And I don't know, that day I was touched. It started coming out. And it never went away. But I don't throw that away because I'm not in religion, because that is not religious. That is my remembrance of my root. And my root is Nubia. Huh? That is the universal energetic sound signature that pulls in ancient civilization into this day through me and in synergy with the divine intelligence and the universe, because the mother tongue, when you speak it, the vibrations, it just aligns. Your frequency is heightened. Oh my goodness. And through my mother tongue, I have been able to do many things. And hey, look, if I'm feeling like crappity crap, yes. And I'm just like, I will speak my mother tongue. And people say, you don't know what you're talking about. Over time, you do know what you're talking about. But I will speak that mother tongue, and I'll feel better. Absolutely better. Vibration raised, everything. That's for me. And it's for everybody, I think. But I think about this, yes, the Tower of Babel, right? Everybody had the same tongue. They were all talking. If that's a myth or not, but listen, everybody, it's like, whatever. I'm not gonna get into all the religion, right? So, we're gonna take it as a half-truism, maybe, as something that may have happened, sort of like that. But how would they know? But anyway, all working together. All working together, talking the same tongue to build this monument. Of course, the mean, evil God was like, oh, they think they're better than me. And just screwed them up. Gave them all different languages. They didn't know what the hell they was doing. Didn't know what they were saying. They didn't even know what they were saying to themselves. He just smited them with a tongue that wasn't even their own. So they could not work together. They could not collaborate to build what they thought was necessary for them. Okay. Just crazy. I mean, that's happening right now in our society. So, oh yeah. So, that's the mother tongue. They were all speaking. That mother tongue was around. And that mother tongue is still around because some of this, I don't know what it's called, it's linguistic structure is active in every language. Bruce Bynum, I think that's it. Give me a second here, let me get this book. It's Edward Bruce Bynum. Now listen. This is not the book. The African Unconsciousness is the book. But look, I love Edward Bruce Bynum. He puts all of this spiritual awakening, yoga, well, he does go off into all these things, but he situates everything within its origin. As I said, African unconsciousness. Yes. And he talks about the mother tongue in the African unconscious. You can get that book on Audible. If you got a credit, you can get it for free. It's like a textbook, but then again, I'm an ex-academic, so, And also another book of his that I really like, too. You want something that's going to blow your mind? Dark Light Consciousness, Melanin, Serpent Power, and the Luminous Matrix of Reality. Edward Bruce Bynum, PhD. This is my first entry into him. I read this book. It was just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. It brought together so many things about myself, my name, Akala Kama'at, that was given to me, because it's not my given name. I mean, it blew my mind. So then when the African Unconsciousness came out, I got that book, and I don't know where the book went. Can't find it. But I was reading it, and so I just got the ebook for now. Well, the Audible, until I can go out and get his book delivered from Amazon, because I still keep thinking it's around here somewhere. His work has been profoundly important to me. Now, the mother tongue I was talking about. I guess I'm just talking about a lot of everything, right? But yeah, mother tongue. They call it speaking in tongues. And then they use it in horror movies. The exorcist people. There's an understanding of the way in which so many things work to empower us as individuals and as people. And there's concerted efforts to stop it so that we don't know. Like, for instance, I'm talking about melanin for a minute. You know, I mean, my study of melanin through a cultural, historical, metaphysical, spiritual lens was the first phase of my healing very early on. And I would always come up against these random documents when I was searching that will call any study of melanin in that way, metaphysical, spiritual, pseudoscience. And nobody wants to talk about it. I mean, people talk about it, but I mean, it's like you don't even really see these discussions in mainstream or anything, or anywhere really. I mean, there's a person talking about it to a select group of people who are into it. Now, I was just casually searching on Google, and I saw this huge, powerful website. There's energy coming off of it. Was very interesting, but a powerful looking website studying melanin. I mean, they made a great big point to talk about how they were studying it, and it was all about as a conductor and, you know, its properties, infrastructures, just all technical, like how to use it, manipulate it in a scientific way. This website is like wild. I was just sitting there flabbergasted. Oh, you can take this topic, this understanding of melanin, and make it work in alignment with what semiconductors, Silicon Valley, OpenAI, I don't even freaking know. And that's scientific and acceptable. But if black people who talk about this are somehow racist and unscientific, that's some bullshit. Even myself, I have censored myself from talking about melanin because I was so concerned about how people would, how they didn't want to hear it. But you know what? I had an epiphany download the other night. I was reading another book by Dr. Osei something. It's called the Black Bible of Science. And it asked like 2 questions or 3. It was like, who are you? Do you know who you are? And are you doing everything you can to like know who you are, or to something aligned with affirming, solidifying that who you are? And look, I read that, and you know, again, for me, nothing happens randomly, right? And so I read that, and it was like, shoot. I mean, it was like I was supposed to read those sentences. And I had to put the book now because it has such an energetic influence on me. And I was like, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? And yes, I know who I am now, still unfolding, right? But I know. And what's the other one? Do you know who you are? Are you, I guess, acting in accordance to who you are? No. Just download came. No, I'm not. Because I'm so concerned about if I really step into my knowing and how I come to know that metaphysics and spirituality, that I won't get no clients. I won't get this, I won't get that. Expectations. Read that. The fallacy expectation was revealed. And are you doing everything you can to affirm who you are? It was like a light bulb went off in my head. I am who I am today only because of my study of melanin. It's metaphysics. It's physics. Science. And that's where I situate my spiritual awakening. In knowing I am everywhere at once. Yes, quantum physics claims this. But melanin metaphysics back in ancient times knew everywhere all at once. Look. Do you know who you are? And how are you acting out who you are? And for some reason, those sentences of me sitting and meditating on those sentences heightened my vibration even more. I mean, the level of frequency I'm operating in right now, this is ping, 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 ping. Because only when you are sitting in what is uniquely you will you come into all prosperity. And I have been teetering because I don't want to shut anybody out, because based on my experience of racism over time, I'm all about humanity. Well, I know very clearly about different groups of people and how they operate. I want to focus on humanity, and it says I can't do that if I talk about melanin, because everybody gets all up in an uproar, which I shouldn't care, but I do care because listen, when I was in higher ed, I really focused on Black women. Sort of just mentoring, feeding life into them. And I didn't really know that Black women, well, they're not racist, can actually be screwed up to other Black women. Especially those in power. Power meaning professor, PhD, dictating terms. And after those repeated experiences of trying to force my way into Black women's lives to help support them, on this side, I'm just like, screw it. I'll put my message out there. Whoever wants to hear it, hears it. But I got sick of pinpointing my people, because it was an expectation in my head that I would be accepted, which which I know is not right, because as a researcher, I've done community-based research. You go into the community, you might look like community members, but you're still outsider because you're academic. So I want to get into these people's lives, but I'm an outsider. I don't even, why, I don't know. Anyway, I can figure it out, because they got their own issues they projected onto me. But at this point, I'm like, humanity. I'm so sick of all these categories. But there are things that are real and true. They don't have to be put into these weird categories. They just are. They siphon melanin from black organs to create medicine. I'm not even going to get into all that. That's another thing. Yes, medicine has uric acid, which is in our urine. They make that artificial and put it in pills. And then they take the natural melanin, make it artificial, and put it in pills or anything else. I talked about process, right? Everything about the space in which we inhabit is artificial. Got my cards. I'm doing card pull. I don't know how long I've been on here, but I don't know why time keeps seeming to fly. And there's so many things I want to do in the day. Intuition, I don't force it. When you've done that for 25 years, I mean, yeah, there's time to put the work in. And yeah. And then it's like, ooh, just flow for a second, right? It's all flow. But sometimes it's real focused, and then other times it's diffuse. I'm going to do a card pull. I got my symbol. Look, these are wore out. I have a new deck, but these I look. They still work. Symbolon. Oh my goodness. Thank you. And card pull. Let me see if anything else falls out of here. Oh, jeez. These Symbolon cards are usually very, very accurate for experienced readers. What you get off of them, you know what? I'm telling you, everything is synergized. We're supposed to be, or we are in an ascension. Earth and people in this earth ecosystem, right? To sit in peace and power, self-sovereignty, to elevate our vibration. But just as we are ascending, this energy has entered in to take us down. I mean, not just down, like cap our ascension, but to destroy, desecrate, separate, assault, kill, maim. Like, we're sending at the same time the most extreme response to that. I mean, when I say extreme, it's extreme. We're sending, so for every action is a reaction, sometimes bigger and much more intense than the original act? Yes. There is an energy here that is determined to stop our ascension. Literally, to check people out. Look, that's by design too, right? Because if we're ascending, if we are ascending, some people are checked in. I wasn't checked in, but it just happened, the ascension, and I just happened to be in that flow. I didn't know it was an ascension, but I was in that energy. Because that's Kaila Kama'at's business. I am strongly connected, entangled, deeply. But people, so many people are asleep, right? So this energy that's come in. Now we could call it all kind of things. But this energy that has come in is anti, and it's extreme and anti. I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, we could say everything that it's doing is horrible. It's necessary. There are folks that need a wake-up call that is so damn strong because they're so dug in to the bull stuff of this world, so caught up in the frenzy that they can't think. And so now when all this stuff is happening, they can't even think about doing anything higher. Oh, no, this is happening. How can you talk about religion? How can you talk about metaphysical and spiritual stuff? All this stuff is happening. This is my piece of paradise, my piece, my contribution. I see, I discern, I'm aware, I have intuitive knowing. But there's a wake-up call. I talked about this before. So people are like, oh, the wake-up call is democracy. Democracy is just small potatoes. That is so infinitesimal. We got to get our democracy back. First of all, the democracy was not a democracy in the first place. So if you're saying you want to get democracy back, I don't want the fucking democracy back. Because who did it serve? Oh, we had little opportunities. Oh, we had a chance to be on a rat race. That ain't no life. Whatever that was that we were engaged in, that's all topsy-turvy now. I'm not saying I'm happy that this is happening, but I'm just saying people need a wake-up call because it's not all about the trees, the bark, the grass, the bugs, the branches. No, we've been called higher to look at the forest. So our ascension is not just spiritual. It's embodied in a way that's asking us to understand this time as something larger than fighting for these nickel and dimes and categories and stuff. And maybe if we take a look at the trees, we can elevate our awareness and maybe begin to reimagine how this is done. You know, I am not, look, I want a happy world, a happy society. I really do. At the same time, we have slumbered for so long. This is a wake-up call. Not to continue to talk about the BS, all the day-to-day, the categories, the containers, but to figure out who we are in this. Not as a social being, an egoistic artifact. No. To tap into something higher within ourselves. Right? And again, that happens in the quiet, in group meditations and guided meditations. And that is actually how we aspire toward peace, evolution, spiritual, metaphysical evolution. The cup of Ubuntu. I am because we are. A chalice that we can all sip from without having to be in a container, box, characteristics. People say, we need those. We can't divvy up this, can't divvy up that. We don't know who's going to get what. That's the BS. We don't need those. Somebody gave them to us, and now we are attached. And that's why this is showing up. Caught up in the mirror, looking at the jewelry, dreaming of something else. Or maybe this is both sides of herself. Both and. Ego. Lose it, or you will get used by it. This person can be nurturing, right? But they can also dress up. But the mirror and the fact that she's touching her necklace is all a point of admiring the accoutrements and not the person. The other side is admiring the gift. We're not admiring anything, nothing. I don't even think we can see in the mirror. But if we are looking in the mirror, it's a projection of our own crap. That's why folks always look in the mirror, which is a good place to start giving yourself affirmations. But this is a card of beginnings and the process and the work. Okay? We don't want to fully engage the process, and we don't want to engage the work of but stepping into a higher resonance with this universe. That's for some people, not for everybody. No, baby. We're all energy. All we are is energy. It's for everybody. And we don't have to be wed to tradition, obligations. They can be reconfigured, given a different name. That's been operative in my life as a communication scholar. I don't like some of the words that we use. So I have different ones while I'm still resonating in this crazy English language. But for instance, sex. I want a sex. I want an F. I want to make love. I want pleasure. Pleasure is my operative term for unconditional, intimate engagement. No expectations. Pleasure. It's another one of my words. See, when I want them, I can't call them. I don't know. I got to write them down. I got a lot of words. And I can't even think of them right now. But pleasure is a big one. If I can't be in this unconditional sort of situation with anybody on any level, not that they got to accept all the, good, bad, and ugly. Even spiritual folks have some things about themselves. But unconditional is a level of respect that can be acted on or expressed about a behavior without making it conditional so that an individual knows something needs to change. Oh, love. People think I'm crazy because everybody talks about love humanity, love, you gotta love yourself, self-love. And yes, I even talk about self-love, but it's really self-respect. Respect. What does that mean? Because you can say love all you want, but if that love is not operating through a lens of respect for the individual, the person, whomever, that love ain't gonna work. So, I don't think I'm bitter and jaded at 59 because I've released some of that stuff, or a lot of that stuff. But I just think respect is more aligned with my reality. And respect can blossom into deep intimacy and companionship without using that word love, which is just diluted of any meaning. Really. I've been talking a lot. A lot. And I'm going to shut up. So check in, carpool, let's talk. I think I accomplished all those goals today, and I do like this format. And I thank you. I thank you. So just to summarize the reading, it's time to turn into self and something higher than just the nuts and bolts of this reality that we're dealing with right now. We're looking at all the wrong stuff. We need to go up and look at the trees. Because looking at this tree is the only way that we're going to understand how to actuate I am because we are. We are because I am. And we got to get out of the ego-centric and longing for things that society says that we're supposed to have. Just because it says we're supposed to have it. Do we really want it? Or is it just ego telling you? If we do all this, find our resonance, move with Ubuntu, and get out of ego, that opens a space for opportunities to reimagine what it is that we're trying to do in this society, in this country, in this world. Yeah? So look, you know I got stuff. I didn't even do the love lights, welcome all. Well, whoever's in, let me put it on at the end. Love and lights, welcome all. All right? If something resonates with you, or you find some familiarity with, or epiphany, or knowing, please comment and like the video if you watch it. And subscribe if you want more of these conversations with Dr. Nkaila Ka Ma'at. And you know what I got now? My QR codes. All right. So, you know I have a somatic metaphysical tarot system for the Power of Release program. We use it a lot in the recognition radar because this is a way to help identify patterns and burdens and all this stuff. And in the recognition radar, we do this over 2 or 3 visits, and the client gets their release map, they get their release profile and a release trajectory. You might want to go back to the blogs or to the link in bio and check out that blog. But I'm giving a 10-minute complimentary somatic metaphysical tarot reading just so you can get a sense of what that is like. These are collaborative readings, of course, but I read and we reflect and we talk. 10 minutes to get a sense of this. You won't get all that good stuff that I just talked, release map, release profile, release trajectory, but what you will do is get a better understanding, first of all, as to who I am and how this somatic metaphysical tarot reading or tarot process can benefit you. So use a QR code or go to link in bio, sign up, and on the form you can choose a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on there. But you can claim that 10-minute complimentary somatic metaphysical tarot, and with your email, I will reach out to you and set a time that we can meet virtually and do the 10 minutes, okay? And so the next thing I want to talk about is the 5-day micro challenge. I'm so excited to do the micro challenge for the program, for the Power of Release program. This is like a new day, all right? A new day, a new day. And so it's a micro challenge for you to engage with the recognition radar without the somatic metaphysical tarot reading. But just so you can see what that's like, the release process and the reframing process, right? This QR code takes you to, I think, to the website so that you can actually read more. And as part of this 5-day challenge, which begins April 17th to the 21st, signups close April 14th. Part of this is that every day you will get a video message from me that's talking about the challenge for that day, some explanation, and then some guidance on what to do. You get a daily meditation video that you can use either for deep or light, so that you can claim a space for yourself. You get you get a PDF booklet so that you can journey your experience in these phases and write down what's happened. And you probably get something else, but you can get that QR code or go to the link in bio and check out the 5-day micro challenge. It's no skin off your back. It's free. You get free stuff. And it might even help you in the long run. And if it doesn't, it's free. You can drop out whenever you want. I don't like being confined. And I would never confine somebody else unless it's, listen, it's an opportunity to sort of, like a bud, blossom in knowing and understanding yourself better. And in understanding, how do you do metaphysical reframing? And then, yes, and how can I gain a practice of release so that I can know how to do this in my daily life? And the recognition radar. How is this? This might be useful. So, 5-day micro challenge, sign up closes April 14th. It begins 17th through 21st. I don't want you to miss out. QR code to go read more about it, or go to link in bio and you'll get some more information there. All right. Here you go. Kindle version of the Power of Release, joining from an open hand. Excuse me. From a closed fist to an open hand. Yeah. $5.99. I made it real short. I took out some stuff, a lot of stuff. Okay, I made it short. But it's a quick read. Go through my little journey and you'll see why I am doing this today and what I went through to get to this point today. All right? QR code to Amazon. Yes. All right. All right. All right. I think I'm done here. Beautiful souls. You know what I mean? Thank you, beautiful souls, for giving your attention over to this moment in whichever way you have. If you're in it now, thank you. If you're in it later, thank you. I suggest pulling up on TV and watching the full screen. Pull it in. Pull in the frequency of prosperity. Ooh. Work the energy flow. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Have a blessed day. A blessed day. And remember, you are prosperous in all ways. Even if you can't see it now, it's okay. Believe it now. Have faith now. So you're ready when it comes. Thank y'all. Be blessed. Have a good one. Bye-bye.